Hey, I shouldn't be telling you this, but if you skip this part of the video, you will miss out on the deal of a lifetime. If you click the link in the description, you will see that Atlas VPN are giving out an offer to get a 3-year subscription for just $1.83 per month. That's less than Netflix's latest price increase. Plus, it comes with 3 months for free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's the best VPN on the market, and you can use it to watch shows that are not available on streaming services in your country. So you can watch Friends on UK Netflix, no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have a subscription to Netflix. You can even use it on unlimited devices, so everyone in your house can watch Friends on UK Netflix at once. And they keep your searches private, so that we'll all finally stop spying on you. But remember, time is of the essence if you want to get this offer. Just $1.83 per month to get a 3-year subscription by clicking the link in the description below.
Am I the asshole for yelling at my husband for making my daughter feel bad? So my oldest daughter, who I'll call May, is 16. She has a job, has had it for about 5 months. Out of all the children, she's the most mature. She's also good at saving, but she rarely spends dollar on things she enjoys and instead keeps it in her bank account. My husband wanted to have her start paying her phone bill immediately. It would have been $50 monthly. But I said no, and eventually compromised to the beginning of October. Note, my husband, her stepfather, is very money tight, and he tells her to pay for everything she wants. Now, I agree with this somewhat, as she should be monetarily responsible so she's ready for college, but he wants her to pay for everything. Anytime she asks for something, he'll respond with, "You have money, buy it yourself." Now, fast forward to today. May has been out of town on a trip with her class, and she was going to be gone for a week. Because this is a national event that happens every year and they're in the city, everything is very expensive. She has a credit card under her name that is connected to my account, and I said she could use it for her meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. But snacks and souvenirs she would have to buy on her own. She called earlier and we were talking while my husband was in the room. She started complaining about how expensive everything was, and she jokingly said she was going to go bankrupt once she returned from her trip. I told her not to worry about it, and if she needed she could use her credit card for whatever. Then, my husband pipes in and says, "Stop guilting your mother to give you money. Whatever you want, you can buy yourself." She was quiet for a moment before saying that she wasn't asking for anything, and then he repeated, "Don't guilt your mother. How can you be morally okay with that?" She said she wasn't calling to ask for money, that she just wanted to complain and that she was going to hang up. I took her off speaker to tell her it was fine, but she just swore up and down she wasn't trying to guilt me, and that she was just going to pretend the call never happened and that it was fine, and then she hung up. I was so pissed. I yelled at him, told him he was being ridiculous and that she was still a child. I left before he could respond. I'm still angry. She apologizes to me every time she buys a meal because she thinks it's too much. I've noticed that she buys her own breakfast, and only spends money on lunch and dinner even though I've said she can do all 3. I'm angry and I don't know what to do. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole for yelling at your husband, but YTA for continuing to be in a relationship with someone who hates your kid and makes her feel guilty for her existence and the associated costs. You need to make it clear that if he doesn't change his behavior immediately and completely, you'll be out the door. You are the asshole for marrying a man that treats your daughter this way. She is 16, still a minor. You are responsible for feeding her and should be paying all of her expenses, within reason, until at least 18. Let her save her money to build a future. If I was her I would save every penny to get away from that horrid man. Choose your daughter. Someday your daughter and perhaps your other children, too, will ask you why you made them live with a man who treated them like this. Am I the asshole for telling my husband to get rid of our son's dog? I've been terrified of dogs since I was young. My husband knew, but I don't think he realized how bad it was until recently. He got our son a dog and at first, I was angry, but he promised it wouldn't come near me and our son was really happy, so I agreed they could keep it as long as it was kept away from me. For 2 months it was fine and I barely thought about the dog being so close, but a few days ago the dog came inside and it freaked me out. I told my husband he had to get rid of it now since he broke his promise and I didn't trust him to keep it away from me anymore. My husband doesn't want to get rid of it because our son is very attached to it already and the dog is harmless according to him. He wants me to let him take me around the dog so that I'll stop being so scared of it, but I've refused and told him it had to go. We argued and he told me that if I wanted it gone, I would have to take it myself. My in-laws came to visit yesterday and my mother-in-law asked me if something had happened between us because I'm still angry at him and she noticed. I told her about the dog and she told him off and said she taught him better than to traumatize his pregnant wife. Now my husband is upset at me because he thinks I only told his parents to force him to do what I wanted and that we'd hurt our son if we got rid of the dog now. Am I the asshole? If your phobia is that bad, and you are unwilling to address it, you should never have allowed the dog to stay even one night. Your husband never should have gotten the dog without your consent. And the breeder or rescue never should have allowed him to have a dog without knowing all adults in the home were on board. Now your son and a dog will be hurt because of your collective actions. This can't be fucking real, like you seriously thought you would be able to have no contact with a dog you live with? Husband is an asshole for not being considerate of your fears. You for agreeing to a dog you knew you couldn't handle and then trying to get rid of it after your son has grown attached. Am I the asshole for using a scary movie to keep kids out of my room? My F16 mom and dad got divorced when I was 11. My parents have 50-50 custody of me, but I mostly live with my mom and spend a lot of my weekends and summers at my dad's house. I have my own room at my dad's house and I am allowed to lock it when I am not there because the woman he lives with 27 has 2 young kids and they went into my room and wrecked some of my stuff when she first moved in. My dad replaced everything, told her that my room is off limits without my permission, and got me a lock with a key that only him and I have. My dad 47 seems happy to spend time with this woman and her kids, but he still makes time for me and makes me a priority. When he got a new TV I got the old one and he mounted it in my room. One thing though. This woman likes to have other mommies and kids over for play dates. That's fine. Maybe her and my dad will get married and she has every right to have guests over. The problem is that sometimes she expects me to watch all the kids while her and her friends sit outside and drink wine or something. She even tried leaving them with me and going out for brunch with her friends. Not okay. My dad has told her to knock it off. He told me it might be nice if I chose to help but that I wasn't obligated to help. So yesterday and today are days off from school, so I was over at my dad's for a long weekend. My mom was having a Halloween party and I didn't want to be around. So I'm in my room when I hear a knock. There she is with 4 kids. She wants me to entertain them while she talks to her friends. I say no thank you. She insisted. So I said I was watching a movie. And it's called Ready or Not and it's kind of gory. Not super gross or anything. Just not meant for little ones. But it starts out with a pretty wedding. So I opened the door and let them in. And they are bored because it isn't a cartoon or a Marvel movie. But they go running when the killing starts. She comes back inside and tells at me for scaring the kids. She says she is going to take my TV away. I laughed and closed the door. She is mad and told my dad I was a disrespectful brat and that my TV should go in the kids' playroom. He said no, but he talked to me and said I could have handled it better. He isn't mad. But he's disappointed. Not the asshole you dad's partner wants, expects a free babysitter whenever you're around. So overall, that's actually a tame way of handling unwanted babysitting. Trauma them from staying in your room ever. She and your dad need to talk about boundaries and expectations of extended, blended family members I think. Not the asshole. At this point, he should be enforcing your no. Talk to him. Make it clear that you do not want to entertain the kids. And ask him to make sure his partner does not bother you. Not the asshole fuck them kids. Am I the asshole for offering to pay to send my niece to boarding school? I have a daughter, Louisa, 10, and my brother Charlie has a daughter, Sophie, 11, same school year. The girls have always been close, even though we moved abroad 3 years ago, so we have had Sophie come and stay with us during school holidays very often, and the girls keep in touch over social media. Some context to this is that my brother and I come from a middle-class family. Both of us attended private schools, regular abroad holidays as children, expensive, hobbies, etc. Charlie's wife Rebecca does not come from a similar background and this has caused some awkward moments in the past. Nothing malicious, just faux pas. Charlie also chose a career path which has meant that he has not been able to maintain the standard of living we grew up with, or provide that for Sophie. This has been a point of contention between him and his parents. Next September, Louisa will be going to boarding school. Before I get bashed in the comments, this was entirely her idea, not something we wanted for her, but it is where most of her friends from her junior school will be going, and they do not allow day pupils. The school is 1 hour from where we live and Louisa will be able to come home on weekends. I gather that Louisa and Sophie spoke about the idea of going to school together and got very excited. I told Louisa this is something that Charlie and Rebecca would have to decide, and then spoke to Charlie about it. I said that if it was something he wanted for Sophie, me and my husband could pay for Sophie to go, and be her point of contact during term time. Charlie was almost in tears thanking me, and said this is something he and Rebecca could only dream of for Sophie. Over the next couple of days, I spoke to our parents about this, as when I called I found out that he had already mentioned it, and they were overjoyed. Yesterday, I got a series of vitriolic messages from Rebecca, accusing me of trying to steal and adopt her daughter. She accused me and our whole family of using money to manipulate her daughter into hating her. She called me every name under the sun and said that I was trying to push her out of being a mother to Sophie. None of this made any sense to me. I love Sophie dearly, but I've never tried to be her mother, and this idea was Sophie and Louisa's. I was very hurt by the things she implied about me and my family and didn't even reply to her, but I did forward the messages to Charlie. I didn't think I had any part to play in Rebecca's outburst, but I spoke to my husband about this and he said he sees how Rebecca could be upset, because when Sophie is around it's obvious how much she looks up to me and wishes she had what Louisa does. He also said that while he loves that my family wants the best for all of us, he could see how it could feel a bit oppressive if you couldn't meet the standard. My husband never says things like this, so since that conversation I've been wondering, am I the asshole? Edit. I'm getting a lot of questions about the point of contact thing, so thought I would clarify. Because the school is in the country I live in, and not where Charlie and Rebecca live, I offered to be the emergency contact in case Sophie was ill or needed picking up from school immediately, etc. Also, in case she wanted to come home with Louisa at weekends and not be at school, since she won't be able to fly home every weekend. I said it to ease their minds that at least she would have someone in the vicinity at short notice, not that I would be responsible for her academic progress or anything like that. Edit 2. Middle class, I really didn't think was going to be as big as it is, but in the UK, or at least, where I'm from in the UK, everyone calls themselves middle class, unless you belong to the upper social echelons which you can only enter by birth or by marriage, or unless you are working class, but that's not part of this distinction. If you're not nobility, you're middle class. Some people say, upper middle class, which perhaps I should have, but it seemed like a pointless distinction. I'm not trying to downplay that we had a privileged upbringing, it's just in my experience, upper class is not purely about money. Edit 3. I have seen the similar post. I cannot say for sure that it wasn't written by Rebecca, but that is absolute not how the offer was broached to her. And if that is her, she has conflated several conversations over the course of over a year to concoct that version of events. FFS, there are some serious cognitive errors on the part of the readers here. OP's daughter brought up going to the boarding school. Then OP's daughter and niece talked about both going. Then OP talked to the brother about it and said that he should talk to his wife about it, which he did, and then the brother's wife flipped out. At no point did OP try and steal away her brother's daughter, and the brother was delighted that his daughter would get to experience something that he did as a child, but couldn't afford to give her the same opportunity. You're not the asshole. A simple, no thank you, we want our middle school age daughter to attend school in our own country so we can still see her every day, would have been a sufficient answer. But there's probably something much deeper here than this offer for Rebecca to react so angrily. EHHIDK. Not the asshole, I guess. But FYI, your family was not middle class, and neither are you.